Let's turn to your top story this morning as testimony resumes in Diddy's sex trafficking trial in New York City. Rapper Kid Cudi may be called to the stand this morning. Court TV legal correspondent Kelly Craft has the latest outside of the federal courthouse.
Good morning to you, Julie. When court resumes here in Lower Manhattan for the Diddy Sex Trafficking Trial, we do expect the special agent from the Human Trafficking Division of Homeland Security to return to the stand for direct examination. This is the continuation of his direct examination. When court was ending yesterday, he was about to open up a bag and show the jury some high-heeled platform shoes that were seized from Sean Combs' home, but then court ended. One of the four witnesses on the stand Tuesday, a male escort called the Punisher, who described in graphic detail the freak-offs, saying from his perception, Cassie seemed to be enjoying the freak-offs and never appeared to be on drugs during the sessions, describing her as sometimes being engaged in the activity, at least when he was referring to one particular freak-off session. Cassie Ventura's mother, Regina Ventura, also on the stand Tuesday. We have some pictures of those injuries Cassie sustained. Her mother took these photographs, and she was testifying that she did so as evidence of the abuse her daughter sustained at the hands of Sean Combs. The jury was also shown some photographs of the baby oil and Astroglide seized from Sean Combs' Miami mansion and the inside of a hotel room that had been damaged from the freak-offs. David James, a former personal assistant of Sean Combs, was the advance guy. He would stock the hotel rooms. He testified to saying that he would bring about 25 to 30 pill bottles, which included ecstasy and Percocet, food, drinks, personal items such as that baby oil, lubricant, and condoms. He also said that Combs' security always had $10,000 in cash to give him in order to purchase some of these items. Kid Cudi possibly may get called to the witness stand today, if not Thursday. And Julie, also inside the courtroom on Tuesday, when Sean Combs was making his way inside, he did use his hands to make hearts, blow hearts in a way to some of his supporters. That's the latest from here in Lower Manhattan. We'll send it back to you.
All right, our thanks to Kelly Craft for that early update. Dawn Richard, a key witness this week in the case, and will be in the case overall. She was Diddy's former artist in the musical group Danity Kane. And this morning, we're so pleased to have a very special guest joining us, her attorney in her civil case, attorney Eric Fudali. He's a former prosecutor himself, does a lot of civil rights and victims' rights work. Eric, great to see you. You're a friend of Court TV Network. We've had you on many times to give analysis, and it's great to have you on here to talk about your client and her role in this big case. So let's start, please, with how is she holding up this morning?
That's a great question. You know, it takes a lot of courage to do what she did. First, to just file a civil lawsuit against Mr. Combs. It's very difficult for alleged victims to sue someone who's so notorious, so prolific, so famous, so beloved. Really takes a lot of courage. But then to take that stand in front of rows and rows and rows of attorneys, 18 jurors, the public, the media, Mr. Combs himself sitting right there in the courtroom watching her testify. It really took a lot of courage, a lot of bravery. I am immensely proud of Miss Richard, but she's holding up. I think she's glad and proud to have taken the stand and told her story.
I'm sure she is. It takes a lot of courage and bravery, as you noted, Eric. We have put together testimony using AI voice technology in the actual transcript. So I want to play for you a clip now of your client, Dawn Richard, testifying about witnessing Cassie Ventura being attacked by Sean Combs.
Directing your attention now to 2009, did you observe an incident between Mr. Combs and Cassie?
Yes, I did.
Can you please describe that, what you observed generally?
I observed Cassie being attacked.
And when you say that Cassie was attacked, who was she attacked by?
She was attacked by Sean Combs.
Again, at a high level, what did you observe of that attack?
He came down the stairs, screaming, belligerent, asking where his food was, and proceeded to hit her over the head and then kick and beat her on the ground in front of us.
After that incident, were there any other occasions when you observed Mr. Combs being physically violent with Cassie?
Yes.
How frequently?
Often.
Eric, talk to us, please, about how this privately weighed on her. Did she struggle with going to police to report it, or struggle to going to Diddy or confronting him directly when she observed these things?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, Ms. Richard didn't come forward and had been, suffering in silence based on what she saw until Ms. Ventura took the step to file her lawsuit against Mr. Combs. So it was really Ms. Ventura who empowered Ms. Richard to step forward and start telling her own story. And that's something we see a lot of times in representing victims of alleged abuse. It's sort of a collective empowerment, we call it, where one alleged victim comes forward, steps up against a very high-profile individual. It often empowers and gives the courage to other women to step forward against something that they saw or someone who allegedly abused them.
Sure. We have a direct quote from your client saying, quote, "I saw Cassie finally take a stand and tell the truth." And as you noted, that's what she said really was the catalyst for her to say, you know what, I can do the same, and I'm going to do that. And her civil lawsuit is currently pending. Eric, for anybody who's unfamiliar, the Reader's Digest version, if you would, the sum and substance of what she's alleging in her own action against Combs.
Well, what's interesting is that her allegations actually mirror very closely, although they have to do with her, not other people, but her allegations actually mirror the indictment in the criminal case. So there's allegations in there of kidnapping and sex trafficking and stuff like that. So which is very interesting, and obviously it also in her complaint that she observed violence. So it's pretty interesting when you compare her own lawsuit to the indictment. There's some remarkably similar allegations.
Right. Wow. Wow. She's a key witness, as you know, Eric. She's corroborating Cassie's testimony that can strongly support the coercion that's alleged with the trafficking, can support the other predicate crimes, as you know. Tell me, what would you say has been the best part of all of this for your client and standing up, finally speaking out, all of that? And then also the worst part that comes along with being such a key witness in such a high-profile case?
That's a great question. I think the worst part is the backlash she's received, A, in filing the civil lawsuit, and B, also even in testifying, having the courage to testify in the criminal case. This is something I see all the time in representing alleged victims of high-profile individuals. There's always online backlash. I mean, the courthouse, I've been there almost every day so far, and the courthouse has been, a circus. There have been so much media and attention outside, people with, free puff signs outside, and people all over the courthouse and in the courthouse and outside. So it's really been a lot for her. But I think the best part is really taking the steps to achieve justice. She said that over and over again in her testimony, both on direct and cross-examination. They kept asking her, what do you want out of this? Well, what are you looking for? And she kept saying justice, justice, repeatedly. She wants justice, and that's true. And I think the ability and the opportunity to confront Mr. Combs in seeking that justice was the best part for Ms. Richard.
Oh, I'm sure, Eric. Eric, tell me, I just want to give you an opportunity, please. Is there anything about Dawn Richard's civil case or her role in this case that you think has been misunderstood or needs to be clarified? Any misconceptions out there? Just wanted to give you an opportunity to speak to any of that.
Sure, absolutely. It's more of like a general misconception I've seen in this sex trafficking case, and you alluded to it earlier, but it's the difference between consent and coercion. Right, and that's sort of been the theme of this case, both from the government and the defense, that any person can consent to a sexual act. But if you are coerced into that sexual act because you are afraid of what will happen if you don't, that's not consent. At best, that's compliance. And I think that's been the big misconception, just generally about the trafficking allegations and the sex trafficking in this government's case. So I really wanted to clear that up because that's a question I've been getting a lot, and it's a lot of I've seen a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings because it's a very nuanced law, the sex trafficking that's being alleged.
Right. Eric, thank you for that. Perhaps we can have you back another time soon and go through that because I really feel like we can't give these explanations enough because, not everybody works in the criminal justice system, and that's fine. So understanding what's being alleged and what the government has to prove is quite key for all of us watching. Eric Fudali, thank you so much for your time and the insight you've lent us with respect to this case. Every good wish to your client, Ms. Richard.
Thanks for having me, Julie.